Oh, isn't that awesome? That,
You're recording, so.
Okay. Good afternoon. This is the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks, Texas, regular meeting agenda, beginning January 26, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. Notice is hereby given that this is a regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks, Texas, will be held today, Thursday, January 26 at 6:30 p.m. at City Hall 22870 Priest Road, Sandy Oaks, Texas, where a quorum of the City Council will be present. All agenda items are subject to action. The City of Sandy Oaks will also provide an audio stream and telephonic access of the meeting through the link provided on the posted agenda. The public will be permitted to offer public comments in person, telephonically, or by video as provided by the posted agenda and as permitted by the presiding officer. Any recording of the telephonic meeting will be made and will be available to the public in accordance with the Texas Public Information Act upon written request. Ms. Yelton, may I get a call to order?
Have we gotten a time yet?
It is now 6:33 p.m.
Mayor Pro Tem Alvarado,
Here.
Alderwoman Martinez.
Here.
Alderman Rapino,
Here.
Alderman Coffindaffer,
here,
Alderman Fillinger.
here.
You have the city attorney and the city secretary. You do have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. Maybe I'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
And
to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, now you can. I'm just gonna put this one. That's right.
Okay.
Okay, citizens to be heard, persons wishing to speak may sign up with the city secretary in the time and manner as indicated as above. Selton, do we have anybody signed up to speak?
You do have Commissioner Faith Flores.
Thank you. Ms. Flores, you have the floor.
Hi.
Hi.
I need to come through or just
Yeah.
sit here or? I'm used to standing up and speaking stuff.
That's fine.
It's good to be back. I want to make sure I came down again with our new mayor. And thank you, our former interim mayor for serving. So, I always just like to make sure I keep in touch with constituents to make sure, you all know about what's going on. So I called the mayor yesterday because I met with, a new developer. And even though it's gonna be in the city of San Antonio, it's right across the street from Sandy Oaks. So I was like, well, how does Sandy Oaks feel about it? I haven't spoken to the mayor. And so I called him, he actually didn't know about it, but they have since contacted him. And so I just feel like that's part of my responsibility as your county commissioner. I never want you guys to feel like you're left out because you're in the southern eastern part of my precinct. Y'all know I go all the way up to Allen Ranch, so it's the largest geographic area, it's really big. And so basically there's a developer who's wanting to come in to do more manufactured homes and it's infrastructure for this area, obviously, because there's septic tanks and putting in water lines and stuff like that. But I'm not gonna support something in precinct 1 that the community doesn't support. So, but I think he said that you guys are supportive of it, and if you decide you're not, then let me know. So yeah, so that's just kind of, relationship I want to make sure that we have, and of course, I know many of you and your city attorney, and so, yeah, so just thanks for y'all's service. So as you know, we have a new county judge, with Judge Sakai. We've already had 2 commissioners court with him, so we're already starting to pass things. Judge Wolf, in case you're wondering, he's doing well, had lunch with him last week, so he's doing good. And so my first 2 years is really important for me to develop relationship with my local mayors from Sandy Oaks, Somerset and Von Army, and also my city council people. And then now that the state legislature is in session, I really want to make sure I have good relationship with our state reps so that we can make sure we pass things that are right for our area. So Bexar County has sent a whole slate of legislative agenda items. So next week I'll be going up to Austin to make sure we meet with them, let them know that we're here to support things that Bexar County needs and just push forward for that. So kind of a little update.
Thank you.
Yeah. Are there any questions? Anything y'all need from me?
Who's the developer?
Betty's my director
I
of
didn't hear that.
administration. So if y'all need anything, you can look at the website and email any of my staff.
I was just curious.
His
with the
name is
developer.
R.W. McDonald. And you're familiar with him.
I
right?
thought it was McDonald company, that was the email, McDonald's
Yes.
companies, McDonald's
Yep.
Development Company.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
guy's name. I don't know the name of the company.
Oh,
McDonald Company.
McDonald
McDonald Development
Development Company, yes.
Yeah.
And where's he doing this development at?
on Lamb Road.
Lamb
So
Road.
go down Priest,
It's the
take a
first
left on
time I heard
Lamb,
about it.
and on the left-hand side, there's a 500-acre tract that they purchased. And they plan to bring in 427 individual tracts, ranging from a quarter to a third to 2-acre tracts.
And it'll come all the way out to
Is-
37 right
Yep.
here.
Is that actually in San Antonio or is that little?
It's
this
in San
phase?
Antonio.
San Antonio.
Oh,
We have one property between San Antonio and us.
Yeah,
That's still Bear County, so it's the other side of that property.
I believe so, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, they said it's in San Antonio, but and I said, so where's San Diego? They're like right across the street. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
how do they feel about it? Have you talked to the mayor? And they're like, oh yeah, we've been in touch with them. And I was like, well, I'm gonna call the mayor and just make sure.
San Antonio was very nice to leave a buffer zone
Yeah, 500 acres. Yeah.
uh, between where they stopped and where
Yeah,
we, uh, my concern, Lamb Road is not very well maintained.
mhm.
So to that,
Neither by the county nor the
no,
But is that
city
a
of
city
San
or
Antonio.
should be city.
From the intersection of
Yeah.
Lamb,
Mhm.
so if it's.
well, actually
it's an
from,
issue, you guys can let my office know and then we'll put it in queue. We'll look into it.
from the intersection of Lamb and Priest, the first property, we own the right of way on the left-hand side of the road.
Okay.
County owns the land on the right-hand side of the road. But there's where you're speaking of, that is San Antonio,
Yeah,
and that road is not gonna carry 420 households.
so that's part of the work of the developer. When developers come in, they put a lot of money into roads. So they're gonna be spending, I think, like 35 million. And that's part of the infrastructure.
I certainly hope so,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they kind of have to.
Yeah, it's,
because that's our egress.
Yeah.
When something happens out here on 37.
So that's a point of negotiation, I think, for you guys to talk with them and talk about that road. Because if you're spending $30+ million, then spend a little bit more and come on out. So I think that's a part of negotiation that you guys, let them know that you want to meet with them. And then I'll hold off on approving things.
Okay.
Because they want to go into a tours with us. You're a city attorney, you might explain that better than I can. And so that might be, am I right? That might be a point of negotiation to ask them about the road, because developers are into roads. Right,
Yeah.
so we as the county, we don't make new roads, but we maintain our county roads. If it's considered a county road. So I would say to start with that, to have them come in and do that. And then next time I talk with them, I'll make sure. Can you make sure that Marcus knows that? So we can like put a little pressure on them for that.
So you're speaking to them in reference to the county, but if they're San Antonio, what do we know that San Antonio's gonna, because
No.
sometimes,
I don't know about San Antonio,
yeah,
but they want me to approve a TERS,
oh,
which helps developers in terms of tax increments, and they need my approval.
right,
And so I was like, I'm not gonna give you approval yet until I know, even though they're in San Antonio, it's gonna affect Sandy Oaks because you guys are across the street.
right,
And so that's why I called the mayor to make sure that, because before I became commissioner, it really irked me that in my neighborhood, I see something being built and I'm like,
nobody knows.
and what's that?
Mhm,
And you don't
mhm.
know until it's
It's done.
open. Yeah, and that's something that really annoys me personally, on a
Right.
personal level. So now that I'm commissioner, I want to make sure that I treat
Yeah.
my constituents better.
Yeah.
And so even though it's in San Antonio,
Right,
it's gonna affect you guys.
right,
And so that's why I.
because
called
I
them.
do know that San Antonio has approved other subdivisions coming in and other developers, and they're not involved in the streets, and the streets are small.
Right. it
And
depends on the
people are
demands they make
complaining
during
about
negotiations.
800 homes coming in. If
Yeah.
you put 2 cars in each home, that's 1,600 additional traffic. And they're saying, well, we're gonna have the developer, and they're back and forth. And this is issues that I've heard of. And so
And that's
in
why I'm
the end,
saying we need to talk about and negotiate it early
Yeah.
on.
in the end, this developer and all what was happening was okayed, by the city,
Yeah.
because of course they want the new taxpayers annexed, but the citizens go through the meetings and they think they're being heard, but then it keeps moving forward and they end up saying, oh, well, we can't extend that street.
Right.
And we can't, after the fact,
After the
that
fact.
it's already, passed.
Mhm.
So
And that's why I'm
that's why
saying
if there's
early
Grant
on
County,
to talk, they reached out to the mayor because I told them to.
right,
So now that they're in contact,
I'll set something up.
yeah, so
Yeah.
now you guys
Yeah.
can talk about this, and if you need me to be at that meeting, let me know.
Yeah.
And nothing was promised in a sense of, we promise or we commit to this, but
right.
in the disclaimer and the brochure that they sent to me, I think it makes reference of $7 million to $9 million of improvements on Lamb Road, which
Yeah, that's part of the infrastructure, the money
Yeah,
that they're
with-
gonna put in.
water
That-
connections
That
and
there,
yeah, that they're going to invest into
But I
Lamb Road.
anticipate them using Priest Road to get there a lot,
During the construction.
even to get home, if you.
Right, so that's
Lamb Road
The
why,
easiest route would be.
yeah, to get to
sit here,
37.
Priest Road to Lamb Road, and there's your subdivision.
And so that's why, even though they're in the city, I was like,
Yeah, they're gonna use Priest.
you
Road.
need to communicate with Sandy Oaks, and that's why you can negotiate, because even though it's in the city, they have to use y'all's
Our
road,
road.
whether it's y'all's roads, the county road, whatever.
They do make
Um,
mention of
so-
Priest Road as well.
Yeah,
So
So
We
now
can-
we can talk.
we can have the conversation.
Right.
And so that's why it's good to
Yeah.
have these relationships and, to be in communication, because like you said, after the fact, it's too late.
Mhm.
So earlier on, they need to start thinking about, what the community expects and demands. So people get away with things because a lot of constituents don't know what's
Not
going on,
aware.
or you have an elected official who doesn't care. A lot of people wouldn't have called, I don't know who's been on the council for a long time. A lot of people wouldn't have your commissioner call the small town of San Diego, say, hey, do you know something, especially when it's not in San Diego, it's in the city.
Yep.
But hopefully some of you got to know me and realized that I work things a little differently.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm, making sure that you guys are included.
And apparently they're
For
supposed to set up notices of planning and zoning in that area.
Yeah, I think it's very early stages. They're still
Yeah,
trying to
that's-
secure funding too.
Okay, so that's good because
Well, that
if
would
you
be the
just see,
PNC for San Antonio though.
Yeah.
Right,
But
that's
she's
what I'm
talking about
saying.
just in general.
that's what I'm saying. If you saw that information in a brochure.
Yeah.
That's not.
Yeah.
That's not a
It's not for
promise.
sure they're handing out,
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
for sure they
Yeah.
take to the meetings when they
Yeah.
meet with people like us,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I'm just saying, in the end, it has to be in writing. It should be because if we get stuck with half county, half.
Yeah.
City.
We'll put something together so that way
Yeah.
we can make sure that we're, all right.
I'd like
know.
to see the brochure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll forward it out.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner, did they give you a time frame of when they expect it or when they?
No,
prefer
I
to
can't
have
talk about timeframe because
Okay.
I was like, I'm gonna talk to Sandy Oaks, make
Yeah.
sure they're.
I want to
supportive
say
of
it's 2 years before
Oh,
they really
before
start.
they-
Yeah.
But does that break ground development or that's,
Yeah, I think that's
they
breakground
need to go through the
development.
processes
Yeah,
of the
they-
county and the city? That's.
That's
They're getting
breakground
ready.
development because they're also
And-
still trying to line up money.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're gonna ask you about something else.
What did you say?
They're gonna-
I thought it may never happen.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. We'll just have to wait and see, but we'll put some meetings
They-
together to discuss. it.
Already.
Yes.
So in some ways, private, how that works, private landowners, but at least before they get started, now's our time to negotiate and leverage, right?
Yeah.
Um,
And
so,
it sounds like it was a call that originated a few years ago, just having other conversations with other people. So
yeah,
I think now we're just getting
they
closer.
want us to
They're
keep
trying to
it up.
re-up the conversation. So,
Yeah.
okay. Anything else?
Mhm. I think that's it.
all right,
Thank you, man.
Thank you very much for your time. It's a pleasure
Thank
seeing
you.
you.
thank you.
Okay, there's nobody else signed up, correct?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, moving on, mayor administrator announcements and updates. So I have a few updates. The holes for the city lights, street lights in the park have been dug. So we should be receiving poles pretty soon, which then alludes to CPS coming in pretty soon and getting those functioning. So that's a big update for the park. Construction on New Mathis has begun, so they started grading and milling So hopefully there hasn't been too many complaints about that. Um,
Can I address you about that? sir?
sure.
They have actually our forever weak area on New Mathis and Skila.
Mhm.
They have dug that out, repaired it. Black River Drive, they dug out and repaired all the big holes there.
Mhm.
And the street widening, they've started at the east end of New Mathis, and they're past Hickory Shadow already.
Okay.
So they are moving right
Fast,
along.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that big sign they.
While we
put
have
up
good
there.
weather. Yeah. Yeah. I
That's
know that.
good.
That's
And
really
when
good.
they're blocking the driveway, it's a matter of like 2 hours.
Yep. Yeah.
So
I haven't received any information or as far as complaints because I put my cell phone and email out there. So that's good. That means they're moving right along.
Mhm.
So, and then, yeah, I was going to speak a little bit to the development and to the conversations that we've
Okay.
had. So, I will put some meetings together, and maybe put some Zoom calls together. So that way, if we can't all be together, we can at least listen in.
Mhm.
So,
I'm sorry.
Sure.
I don't know how to interrupt. Like I said, if you want me to be at a meeting and if I can't make it, I'll make sure, Marcus Colonel, my staff, can join any Zoom calls or anything to make sure. Because sometimes, they say one thing to somebody and they say something else to somebody.
Right.
So sometimes I think it's important to make sure they know that everybody, my staff is there.
okay.
So let me give you,
Yeah.
or then you can send me an email, you can pass it on and then sign under her calendar and then I can get with Commissioner Marcus and we can set up a meeting.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we get a picture?
Oh,
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Is that fine? Okay,
That's
because you have a new mayor. I have one with.
Stand up.
Yeah. No, yeah.
you don't know.
Stand up.
Everybody or
Oh, it's
some or.
No, all of us, but I mean, if people don't want to stand up, you don't have to stand up. I'm very formal, y'all, so however you want to do it.
Well, it's a picture.
Yeah, we can,
It's
we
a
can
picture
stand
that
around
everybody's
there.
gonna see.
We'll gather
Rebecca.
City of
Rebecca.
in it, right?
Everybody can see you.
Yeah, San Diego. I mean,
We're all centered on.
There's only so many people involved in this. That's it. This is us.
he's like, I'm not gonna be there. Okay.
Are we ready?
Mhm.
1, 2, 3, here we go. And one more. Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
He's working undercover tonight. Nobody knows him.
And I also, just so y'all know, if y'all ever want, any county resources, if you ever want anyone to come out to your city council meeting, to present on, I don't know, electric
And
utility service or just anything that counties are doing from like our departments, let our office know, we can get someone out here to protect the office.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay,
you.
moving right along, the consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine by the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
Yes, sir, I'd like to remove, agenda item A, or the item A
5A,
for discussion, yes.
okay. There was a motion, correct?
I think it's
Yeah.
just-
Oh, you're just pulling
The
it?
request,
It's a request. All right.
and it's a real short request if you'd like to do that before we entertain.
Sure.
There's a typo with the wrong date. That needs to be corrected before it's presented to you for signature. I'd like to move that we, approve the change of dates on the draft minutes. And, it currently reads passed and approved this 10th day of November 2022, and it needs to be changed to the current date. So I would vote that we approve it as amended to January 26, 2023.
Are you talking about the meeting? The-
Meeting minutes
oh,
draft for December eighth.
Oh, December, yeah.
Or no, read the date.
Mhm.
I move that we change that date
The January.
to January twenty-sixth. That's a motion, sir.
Okay, so I have a move, excuse me, I have a motion to amend the minutes to read approved January 26, 2023.
I'll second.
We have a second. So we have a motion from Alderman Fillinger and a second from Alderman Rapino. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That is unanimous.
So now we have to put it on the consent agenda and approve, right?
You can go back. Either individually or consent.
With that approved, I would move that we adopt the consent agenda.
Does anybody have the minutes for January 12th?
They're not done
Okay, so we want to just approve the consent agenda for the December 8th minutes,
yet.
right? So
Okay, then move to remove item 5B, postpone till our next regular meeting.
Okay, that has been postponed.
mhm. So we just need a motion to approve item
5A.
5A, the minutes for December 8th, 2022. I move that we approve that, the consent agenda for that
Second,
As amended, yeah.
as amended.
As amended. Okay, so I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended by Alderman Rapino and seconded by Alderman Fillinger. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That is unanimous. Okay. William? No, it might be. It is. Sorry, folks, new phone. Okay. Moving right along. Agenda item 6A, updates and announcement from Chief Lopez with possible discussion and or action. Chief Lopez is not available today, so we will postpone that to the next meeting. Moving on to Parks and Recreation, 7A, update and announcements from Park Advisory Committee Chair Alderman Rapino with possible discussion and or action. Alderman, you have the floor.
No, since the mayor stole my thunder on the lighting project, I would just report that the next meeting will be on February 7th. And we'll just move on from there.
Thank you, sir. All right, moving right along. Item 8A, updates and announcement from Public Works Director Priscilla Smith with the discussion interaction. Priscilla, do you have any updates and or announcements?
I do. We installed, today, 4 signs in the park, 3 signs in the park to, let anyone who enters our park know that their dog has to be on a leash at all times. If the dog makes a mess, they gotta scoop it up afterwards. There's also, the sign put up for no smoking at the community center, and then 50 feet beyond that point. And I think that's, it for right now.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving right along to administration of business, discuss under possible action on resolution 2023-175, amending policies on work week, work schedule, and pay, employee leave, city holidays of the personnel policy. Okay, so if you have your manual in front of you, in reviewing There was a couple issues that I saw that really don't provide the most transparency. The first be on page, I guess would be 3, which is a pay scale. Basically, all positions have a scale that are determined based off of what I thought was relative to what we're currently making, other cities, trying to also remain as competitive as possible, but also understanding the budget limitations that we work with. So as you can see, Public Works 1, which is you're basically your first person out of Public Works would have a pay range of $15 to $20. Public Works Director would operate between $20.01 and $25. City Secretary would follow the same scale, the Court Clerk as well. The Deputy Clerk is on the same lines with Public Works 1, $15 to $20. The Animal Control Officer is $15 to $25. As we move down, the Chief of Police runs from $33.01 to $45. The Captain is $30.01 to $33. Lieutenant is $27.01 to $30. Sergeant is $24.01 to $27. Corporal is $21.01 to $24, and Patrol Officer is $18 to $21.
Where is the chief's salary right now, sir?
He's at $32 and some change.
Thank you. So if we pass this effective immediately, then he gets
Correct.
Pay raise.
a pay raise
Yes, sir.
immediately.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We need to note that. Because we will probably have to do some budget amendments. I do question the deputy clerk. We have some, she theoretically is cross-training, both as city secretary and court clerk. Is that?
She's doing more city secretary. She helps with the docket or the jackets and stuff. She'll take cash payment.
If we're,
Yeah, I think that's the reason why I did it like that is because it incentivized them to move up to the court clerk or the city secretary, right? Depending on who's available, who's working, who's not. It gives them the opportunity to take on more of an official title than the deputy city clerk or the deputy clerk, excuse me.
okay, then we can agree that if the deputy clerk is doing her job well, then we are tracking to transition to either city secretary or the court clerk.
Yes, sir. That is my thought process.
But that
Okay.
wouldn't happen unless we had an
Unless, I mean, it doesn't have to happen right away.
Right.
The pay scale allows to continually bump up. And then once they're ready for promotion, that'll give them the opportunity to go to the next level.
Okay,
Okay, so moving forward, if there's no further discussion on that, I did want to address PTO. Currently, as it sits, our employees accrue PTO.
I have another question, sir, before we get that far.
Okay.
Is your question how to turn your phone on?
Yeah, that's exactly my question.
Anybody got a hammer? Anybody else?
Got it?
That's it, okay. Before we get there, we have payroll deductions. I see we struck through the Texas Municipal Retirement System contributions. Why is that struck through?
That shouldn't have been struck through. It should have been for,
From the original version. I just never removed it, back in 2019 when we adopted it, it was struck because we didn't have TMRS at that time. And like, rather than removing it, I just must have left it struck through.
Okay,
That does need to, the strike through needs to be removed.
then,
We can't.
while it's under consideration, I would move to amend it by remove the strike through Texas Municipal Retirement System contributions. That is a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, so I have a motion by Alderman Fillinger and a second by Alderman Rapino to amend the City of Sandy Oaks Personnel Policy Manual, the strike through of the Texas Municipal Retirement System contributions. That sound right? Sound fair?
Sounds good to me, so.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you, sir, for your keen eye. Okay. Turning on to the next page. So as it sits, our PTO policy is we accrue hours as we work. I think our staff works very hard. And their PTO hours, I believe, should be front loaded. Meaning that come January 1st, they would receive their PTO. If they are a new employee, they will receive it after their 90th day, and it would be a prorated amount, right? To determine how many days they have left in the year, and then adjust their PTO scale for the rest of that year.
So we have an amount for the year.
Correct.
Are you saying they get their PTO at the beginning of the year?
So
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Instead of accruing for it.
if somebody hires on June 1st.
Yep.
And I'm gonna simplify the math.
Mhm.
June, July, and August, they receive no PTO.
Correct.
All right, the last 3 months, we prorate
Yep.
the PTO. January 1st, they get 1 year's PTO front loaded.
Correct.
Okay,
Mhm.
clear.
I did highlight that, not knowing when y'all wanted to start the year, either January 1st, the October 1st, the fiscal year, or the employee's anniversary date. So that would be, that would need to be decided.
Okay, then,
I would say we suggest the anniversary date for the employee. Every time their anniversary date came along,
It's-
that's when,
It makes it very difficult to manage the accrual and so on.
Yeah,
okay,
If it's January 1st, we know that once
It
the
all
year
starts
flips, they get it up. They get it all.
everybody gets, okay, that works. As long as it's the same for everybody, we're good. That makes paperwork easier. I'm glad with it. Cut out the red tape.
Well, I do need a motion then to,
I'll make a motion that accrual will happen for the PTO on January 1st every year.
I'll second.
okay. So I have a motion by Alderman Coffindaffer and a second by Alderman Rapino to select January 1st as the renewal date for their PTO. All of those in favor say aye.
I,
All those opposed? That is unanimous.
it's much simpler bookkeeping than anniversary.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What do we do about the pay scale?
I think these are just the changes that we've had to make. I don't think we've made any changes to the pay scale.
I know you didn't.
So then I will approve the entire personnel policy at the end.
Okay.
That's what we agree on.
Okay.
Okay, all right, moving forward, there are no questions on that. There is where did it go? Okay, so the paid time off scale. So if you are an employee of 0 to 5 years, you will receive 3 weeks or 15 days or 120 hours. 6 to 10 years, 4 weeks, 20 days or 160 hours. And greater than 10 years, it will be at 5 weeks, 25 days or 200 hours.
Generous.
It is very generous, but it is hard to retain talent these days. And to be fair, the people that work with us don't take a lot of time off. So, I mean, they lose a lot of it. And that's also part of the policy is that it will not roll over. They would receive their PTO once a year and we will not roll it over until the next year.
Well, it does say here that they receive their PTO. And that it would roll, may carry over.
May not be carried over. Unused PTO may
Would
not
have
be carried over.
occurred, but unused PTO prior to January 12th. may carry over up to 40 hours PTO over the following calendar year until the time is exhausted.
So I can explain that that is for,
Please do.
and that's for current employees who have already
Okay.
accrued their PTO. So the current or a new adopted policy wouldn't, yes, so they'd still have whatever they've accrued, but they haven't taken. But once
Okay.
they've
Let-
exhausted
let-
it,
Let's
That
do
makes
a real quick survey. How many hours PTO do you still have on the books
From last year.
from last year?
From last year, I don't have too many just because of Michael's death and stuff. You know, just, I don't have very many, 20 something.
Okay. But still, it's 20 hours that you should. you
Carry
should
over, yeah.
Carry over.
Yeah,
But
40?
next,
Still has 40 hours unused.
yeah.
Right.
uh,
So those would remain
our-
unaffected.
Our people are very, very
Committed.
dedicated to their jobs
Gotcha.
to the point of their own detriment.
Yeah.
But what we're saying right now is you take your 120 hours this year and 40 hours from last year, because next January,
You only have
if you don't use it, you
Mhm,
lose
you
it.
lose it. Now, the
Be
three,
sure to tell your employees, man.
the weeks, are we, they're not taking them consecutively?
No. I mean, they could
They
if
could.
they plan it out accordingly, but
Yeah, it probably couldn't.
Yeah.
happen, since we don't
Right,
have
unless,
replacements,
right, exactly.
substitutes, yeah, okay.
I went a round the world cruise. I'm taking my paid time off. But
You have
that-
some?
that's neither.
I don't.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's fairly
Yeah,
clear
I
and
think that's.
fairly,
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
fairly fair. Uh,
I would ask for one that's not listed. I agree with everything else so far, but I'm looking at the bereavement. 3 workdays. I would move that up to 5.
That's,
And I say that because whenever a family member passes away, funerals are not put together quickly, goodbyes are not done fast. And that would allow enough time for our employee to be able to travel to wherever their family member's at. I would suggest we take that part into bereavement and move it from 3 workdays of bereavement to 5.
What if you do?
That is a
3
motion.
workdays local and 5 workdays out of state?
It's still 5 is what I would suggest. Whether it's local or out of state. That way it's equal to everybody. I know where I do work at, we've had people who have lost spouses. 3 days off work and then back at it, 3 work days away is not enough to mourn the loss of somebody close. It's difficult already at 5, and if we say 5 work days, they're off Monday through Friday, that's essentially 9 days away from work. If we say 3 work days, that person is only off work for 5 days, trying to grieve the loss.
In other policies that I've read, I mean, I understand your point, Terry, and I'm not trying to say we shouldn't do it. But employees are asked to use PTO in lieu of extra bereavement days, which is also a reason why we're upping the amount of time that they receive on a yearly basis. So that was considered.
But I still make a motion that we increase that to 5 in the bereavement.
Okay, so I have a motion by Alderman Coffindaffer to update the,
bereavement leave is unpaid leave, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna use their PTO anyway. I mean, just whether we call it bereavement or
No,
say
it's not
use.
charged against them.
yeah, I wouldn't be charged against their PTO.
It's just a paid day. It's not charged
the 3 days.
to the PTO. We're giving
It's
them
another bank.
bereavement pay.
Mhm.
Is it paid or not?
It is.
Yes,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's paid, but it's not,
Charged
It's
against
not
them.
charged
to
against their
PTO, yeah.
Their
PTO.
PTO, no.
Yeah.
so they can use PTO since you've upped it.
Yeah.
And that's the way I've always
Mhm.
seen it done. It's not charged against our PTO the 3 days, but then you can take additional. And I don't think anybody would
Turn it
Scuff
down.
turn it down,
No.
yeah.
And you don't have to worry about, do I have enough accrued
Right.
to where you're working in a negative bank?
Right.
So. Well, I do have a motion by Alderman Cofferdeffer to update the days of bereavement from 3 to 5. Do I hear a second? Okay. So that just move forward, right?
Yeah. I'm not
Okay.
sure. No.
All right, the motion doesn't pass. Okay, any other questions regarding the PTO?
Just one more, the PTO states prior to January 12th. I had used that date since this was going to be on the last council agenda.
Oh, okay.
So it should
We could update
probably
it.
either it can start today or next pay period. And the
Okay.
next pay period would start the day before that,
Can
or
we do-
end.
Okay. So we do need a motion to update the prior to January 26th. To roll over the remaining hours that they have on their PTO bank.
So
So
new
what
pay
does
period
it need
starts
to
tomorrow.
be?
When does the new pay period start? Catherine?
Monday was the newest pay period. So the next one will be
February.
Let's make it effective
February
tonight.
6th.
Just making effective tonight?
Sure,
Okay.
okay. Backing up the guidelines for PTO use of the highlighted portion that says January, I'm sorry, January 12th. I make a motion, we amend that to January 26th.
I'll second. Oh, you did second, Grace, I've been second too much.
All right, so I have a motion by Alderman Billinger and a second by Alderwoman Alvarado to amend the listing there from January 12th to January 26th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That passes unanimously. Okay. If there are no questions,
Let's discuss family medical leave act.
oh, I found my leg. You
Um,
want to get deep.
Second paragraph. You let me preface this by saying, the last years of my wife's life, were not pleasant, and I had to take a lot of FMLA leave. The requirement, leave required to provide 30 days advance notice is ridiculous when you have somebody with a chronic condition. Literally, I've been woken up at 2 o'clock in the morning for a hospital run. And there are times when you cannot leave your family member alone. I'm, if we're talking about a surgery,
Sure.
other than emergency surgeries, 30 days notice may be well and fine. But
It does make note of if the leave is foreseeable less than 30 days in advance, the employee must provide notice as soon as practicable.
and
allows for that.
and a lot of times, as soon as practical is 3 hours after you were supposed to report to work.
Well,
I'm just
And
saying.
that's as soon as practical.
yeah, Yeah.
The word required, it kind of makes me choke.
I get it. I mean, I get it.
Would be a better word than required then.
Requested? Because we're requesting it, it doesn't actually have to happen.
Yeah, I'm
Should request prior to 30 days or within 30 days or provide 30 days.
Yeah. I think employees seeking to use FMLA leave are requested to provide 30 days notice.
I would be good with that. As I say, when
Yeah, encouraged to. Well, we do need a motion or a word.
I'll make a motion that in the FMLA Act, we replace the word required with the word. Yeah, it wasn't requested.
Encouraged?
Encouraged.
I don't know.
Okay, would you restate your motion for clarity, sir?
Yes, sir. I make a motion that we replace in the FMLA Act, paragraph 2. Replace the word required with the word encouraged.
I second that motion.
Okay, so I have a motion from Alderman Coffindaffer and a second from Alderman Fillinger to amend the second paragraph of the leave under the Family Medical Leave Act to read as employees seeking to use FMLA leave are encouraged to provide 30 days advance notice to their supervisor and policy administrator.
Mhm.
All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That is unanimously.
While we're still talking about Family Medical Leave Act, the next paragraph talked about certification. Long-term care, I would like that the certification be required annually. Some conditions get better, some don't, but I think it's reasonable that once a year the employee gets medical certification that the condition still requires the FMLA.
So.
Like an update.
So what,
Yeah.
so the way it would read is, the city may require that the need for leave for a serious health condition of the employee or the employee's immediate family member be supported by a certification issued by a healthcare provider at least once a year, or once a year.
I would strike the word may. And make it a firm requirement that each FMLA request have medical certification.
And then it goes on to say the city may require a second and third medical opinion at the expense of the city if it has reason to doubt validity. That's your updated certification in case it's long term. Is that what we're talking about here?
No, that final sentence is if we suspect a claim is bogus, that we can, at our expense, require a second doctor's opinion or second or third opinion.
Okay.
So I think
You were talking to
the first
long term.
sentence,
Mhm.
Strike may, and this is a motion, so keep up. The first sentence of the third paragraph under Family Medical Leave Act, strike may.
Is required. The city will require.
Just to add an S on requires, the city requires
Okay.
that the need for leave for a serious health condition of the employee or the employee's immediate family member be supported by a certification issued by a health care provider
Mhm.
and renewed annually
Mhm.
as needed,
And renewed annually.
and the remainder stay as it is.
Mhm. And renewed annually.
As needed, is that right?
Yeah.
What did he say at the
Correct.
end? Right. Okay, so I have a motion to update the Family Medical Leave Act, paragraph 3, sentence 1. The city requires that the need for leave for a serious health condition of the employee or the employee's immediate family member be supported by a certification issued by a healthcare provider and renewed annually as needed.
I'll second.
Mhm.
So I got a motion from Alderman Fillinger and a second from Alderman Rapino. All of those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you.
Let's take a look at military league, please.
Mhm.
What are we looking at?
Second paragraph, an employee's entitled to paid leave of absence from the employee's duties on a day on which the person is engaged in authorized training or duty or authorized by proper authority for not more than 15 work days in a fiscal year. The problem with that is that our military guard and reserves, they have more than just a single 2-week, 15-day training period now. Once a year.
Okay.
I would suggest we move that up to 30 days.
For not more than 30 days?
I would say not more than 30 days, correct? 30 work days, yeah.
Can you phrase that in the form of a motion, or is there any questions?
Any questions on this?
Have ADT 30 days,
What happens is, yes, they send them out to places like California or Louisiana. Plus, a lot of our units now do multiple train ups prior to their deployments within a 12-month period.
Yeah.
So they might do an ADT as their annual training that they planned on for that summer. And then told, okay, we've got something else going on. We're going to have to send you to do another one. So they send them out, get them trained up, and then they don't go anywhere. We've seen that happen a lot. with
Can
our
I ask
Guard
you
and
a
Reserve.
question, sir?
Absolutely, sir.
Does the reserve and National Guard get paid when they're calling out?
Yes.
Yes, sir, they are.
Okay. Then,
However, their wages are far less.
not done, sir. I said
Okay.
then. I would support a motion that we supplement that pay to the regular pay scale. But I have an issue with
30 days.
that they're collecting from the guard and from the city, both at the regular rates.
I know
I'm
where
good
you're
with
going.
15 days of supplementing at their full pay, but an additional 15 days of full pay from the city plus their guard pay. We have a budget, sir, and
No, I like where you're thinking here, because rather than giving them full pay while they're drawing their garden reserve pay, they would draw, and I'm trying to see how we would word this properly, from the city, the difference of what their guard reserve pay up to what the city's pay.
but
So if they're making $3,000 a month on the city, but the guard's only paying them $2,000, we would pay them $1,000. Does that make sense?
but
For up to 30 days.
and yes,
I don't know how to word that, sir. Michael, you're our hero. You're the mayor. Help us out. We can't go percentage. People's different wages.
So,
According to pay scale.
so the point is the point is to supplement their pay to normal wages for up to 30 days
Per calendar year.
per calendar year. Yeah. Okay, so I think it would read as, the city of Sandy Oaks would supplement the employee who is engaged in authorized training or duty ordered or authorized by proper authority for not more than 30 work days in a fiscal year. And supplement their pay in accordance to their current pay scale. Something to that nature.
Speaking of how the employee
I
is
hate-
entitled.
I hate to be the bummer here, but I think we need to refer that paragraph to our city attorney for
Sure.
Proper.
clarification.
Yeah, because that was my question, since you have it stated there that the city shall comply. Are you referring to the rest of the entitlements according to that? Uniform Service Employment and Reemployment Rights Act.
Wait, where are you looking?
Well,
That's-
right
yes,
there,
it
At
does
the
refer to
beginning
that.
of military
You
leave.
quoted the
Yeah,
act.
basically, the act
Mhm.
says you can't fire them
Yes.
when they're called up for duty.
Oh, you can't keep them from.
And I'm not
Yeah,
seeing
you can't keep them
anything,
from it. You
Mhm.
can't replace them. You can
You have to.
bring in a temporary, but you
Like
can't,
jury duty.
you know,
Mhm.
when they come back, they get their job.
Right.
and I'm not seeing anything on the minimum amount of days
Days.
or yes, in that act, so.
So I think we should keep it the
Well,
way
we're
you
not,
have it,
we're
right?
not required by the act
Right,
to
but
pay
there's,
them at all when they're called up.
right,
So this is an additional benefit. Although I don't think we currently have any employees in the guard,
mhm,
although we may have some
May
still
in
in the
future.
reserve.
Mhm. Or if it goes, at least we have something.
No,
So what if you leave it the way it is, the employee is entitled to a paid leave of absence from the employer's duties on a day, right? And just insert to make up the difference in, as per their pay
make
scale.
up the difference is probably not illegal.
Well, no, I know, but something in that form.
As I
To where
said,
their pay scale.
let us
You want
defer
her to
to
do
our
it,
city
okay.
attorney on that paragraph.
I think if that
So
part
we
is
can approve
tabled
the whole thing.
for, you can approve, because it won't change what's
Oh.
currently there. But that part can come back to council with a
Another,
better, where
Yeah,
it's worded to
Verbiage.
Yes.
Verbiage.
make them equal to what they would have received if they were still
Reasonable.
working for the city, right?
Correct.
okay,
do we
so we're
wanna-
gonna wait.
We're gonna wait on that one.
I would say, we can approve it,
Pending
With
changes to the
the-
medical leave, military leave.
I think we can approve it with the proviso that our city attorney will provide better verbiage.
What if we just say
Yeah.
equal pay to the city?
And we can
payroll?
bring that back at our next meeting.
Yeah.
Did you hear what Debbie just suggested? Please say again, ma'am.
What if we just say that would make it equal to the city's pay, rate of pay?
An employee is entitled to a,
No, out on military duty.
Why not for more than 30 days in a fiscal year and supplement their pay to their current pay schedule, up to their current pay scale.
Days.
So that way we don't have to bring it back.
And supplement their pay up to their current pay scale.
Okay, 30 days in the fiscal year, supplementing their military pay to
According to
their city pay
city
scale.
pay scale.
Yeah,
But not to exceed 30 days or up to 30 days.
Not to exceed 30 days.
Not more than 30
Not
work
more.
days. That's what it says there.
Yeah, for not more than 30.
Work days in fiscal year, comma, supplementing their military pay
Up to their current pay scale.
Supplementing military pay,
supplementing
military pay,
military pay,
according to.
Up to.
their current pay scale.
to equal their current salary.
To equal,
Supplementing military pay
That be current city salary?
to equal
to
their
equal,
current city salary.
current. City salary.
Supplementing their military pay to equal their current city salary.
Yeah.
Okay,
That-
so it would read, an employee is entitled to a paid leave of absence from the city is from the employee's duties on a day on which the person is engaged in authorized training or duty ordered or authorized by proper authority for not more than 30 workdays in a fiscal year, comma, supplementing their pay,
military,
pay to equal their current city salary.
Mhm.
yeah.
That's my motion.
and
As stated.
So moved.
As stated.
As stated.
So motion,
excuse me, during a leave of absence, the person may not be subject to PTO. Are we gonna limit
Loss of
that
PTO.
also? Loss
Loss
of
of
PTO, are we limiting that to 30 days or limiting that to the duration?
They just won't lose PTO. So they're,
That's all it
so
says.
they
Okay,
get,
if they're called up for a deployment to some ungodly part of the world
Mhm.
for 11 months, are we going to PTO them through that 11 months?
I don't think so.
Well,
'Cause they're
they'll go
active
by
duty.
what we
They're
already
not
stated, that they lose it if the next year.
They're active duty then if they.
Yeah.
They're not using their PTO.
Yeah.
Nobody will take it away from them.
well, we take it away at the end of the year.
Anyway,
Exactly.
but it's
So you
already,
come
In January, you come back December 1st, you have 11 months of PTO.
you lose
Yeah,
it in
3
January.
weeks.
No,
Yeah.
you don't
Okay.
accrue it while you're gone, you just don't lose what you've already had.
Yeah.
You don't accrue it, you just don't lose it.
Yeah, but if you leave in.
But even if you accrue it, you still
Everybody
lose it
gathers the
by,
PTO in January.
Yeah, but the policy we just approved says
Yeah.
it's all front loaded, right?
Yeah.
So they'd have 2,080 hours, no, they'd have 3 weeks of PTO on the 12th month in December when they come back.
right,
And
that they can use some or
they could
whatever,
use some or,
they lose the rest.
right. And if they want to just say, well, give me the next 3 weeks off, I mean, you haven't been here for the year, so fine.
Yeah,
Really ain't gonna hurt.
Okay with me?
yeah,
That's
it's already in the
would
book.
probably be struck
Yeah.
though, since it really is referring to an accrual of PTO during that time they're gone, and if it's all front loaded.
Okay. So then we can strike that last sentence. During the leave of absence, so we'll strike, we can make a motion to strike during a leave of absence, the person may not be subjected to
Yeah,
to
it
loss of
shouldn't be a
PTO.
question.
Okay.
It shouldn't even be a question, right?
Did we have a motion yet?
No.
for
We
I
did
thought
have.
a motion.
Did we? Oh, that's right.
Alderman
Alderman
Coffin
Coffin,
made a motion to adopt the change to the
Supplementing the military pay.
to the first sentence of the second paragraph under military leave.
Correct.
So we have a motion on the table we need to deal with before we deal with the leave of absence. I'm sorry for
No.
distracting.
That's fine.
Okay, I second it.
Okay.
That way.
All right, so the motion reads. We have a motion from Alderman Coffindaffer and a second from Alderwoman Alvarado, which states an employee is entitled to a paid leave of absence from the employee's duties on a day on which the person is engaged in authorized training or duty ordered or authorized by proper authority for not more than 30 work days in a fiscal year, supplementing their military pay to equal their current city salary.
Mhm.
All of those in favor say aye.
I
All those opposed? That passes unanimously.
Then I move that we strike the last sentence of that paragraph during a leave of absence, the person may not be subject to loss of PTO.
Okay,
I'll second the motion.
all right. Let me see here. Okay, so I have a motion from Alderman Fillinger and a second from Alderman Coffindaffer to strike during a leave of absence. During a leave of absence, the person may not be subject to loss of PTO. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That's unanimously. Okay. Can we go to the fun one? All right, so in the next page,
Excuse me.
if not. Yes, sir.
The fourth paragraph conflicts with our adoption of use it or lose it.
Mhm.
The fourth paragraph allows a military member to carry over 45 days of PTO into the next fiscal year if they have arrived back. Am I reading that correctly?
The employees is entitled to carry forward from one fiscal year to the next the net balance of unused accumulated leave that does not exceed 45 days.
So we strike it.
Well,
Well, it's a government code.
if that is part of the government code, then we need to go back and insert an exception to the use it or lose it rule.
I don't think we would have to, sir. And I say that because this falls under the military leave clause of the city policy, where it's addressing an individual who is
In the
Serving.
military.
Now,
Sure,
their rules
okay.
would be slightly different, so I don't think we'd have to add a clause, would we? I guess that would be the question for the attorney.
You can't have a policy that conflicts itself and expect it to be carried forward.
The military leave policy is conflicting with the entire policy. That's why I'm asking the attorney how this would look.
Well, it didn't provide, the military policy doesn't provide for a particular number of days. It just holds the employee's job, doesn't necessarily entitle them to the days or the payment.
So we can
So-
strike that 45 days.
So I think it can be struck, yes.
I'd make a motion, we strike that.
I'll second.
The whole sentence.
Okay, so I have a motion from Alderman Coppendapper and a second from Alderman Rapino to strike the employees entitled to carry forward from one fiscal year to the next, the net balance of unused and accumulated leave that does not exceed 45 days. All of those in favor say aye. All those opposed? That's unanimously passed. Thank you.
He's reading.
Hey, let's go to the fun stuff.
Yay.
All right. All right, so in reviewing our holiday schedule, it was relatively thin, and I know, days not worked is in some eyes viewed as non-productive, but at the same time, I think it's a benefit to the city, it's a benefit to the employees. And overall, I mean, other cities tend to give their people time off that are not part of their PTO. So I've included some new holidays which are listed in red, which I would think would have been standard, but unfortunately they were not. So that would include Martin Luther King Day, which falls on the third Monday in January, President's Day, which falls on the third Monday in February, Good Friday, which is the Friday before Easter, Veterans Day, November 11th, the day after Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, beginning at 12 p.m. the day before Christmas Day, and the day after Christmas, the day after Christmas Day.
I initially was against a lot of this, but then I did some checking around and it's pretty much standard in a lot of places. Some places are pretty strict with their holidays, but I don't see any reason to begrudgingly penalize our people, so I'm for it.
Yeah, we postponed this revision so everybody could do their homework, and I'm with Tom. I actually checked other policies in small and large cities throughout the state. This is not an unreasonable city schedule.
I make a motion, we adopt it next time.
Some have additional holidays to meet what the state does. But the
Plus, we
state's really lenient. And did I hear a motion, sir?
Well,
Yes, sir.
Do you
That we
need,
adopt the holiday schedule?
do you need a motion to adopt it? Because now at this point, we're not making any changes.
Yeah, actually, we're not,
Well,
we're
everything in
not, we're
red is
not
what
making
was changed.
changes so
Yeah.
we can adopt it in the
Yeah,
whole.
now it's the whole.
Because it's added in.
So if you'd like to withdraw that motion,
I will
sir,
withdraw that
moving right along.
to the next part.
But I have to go back to the military leave. So I looked up a different statute that was not the federal statute, the state statute. That 45-day carryover, it does apply to military. So we're gonna need to reconsider a motion to put that statement back.
Then I'll make a
So that
motion
was-
that we put that statement back in accordance with.
We'll have to withdraw the first motion, I think, don't we?
Well, it was already
It's
passed.
passed, so
So-
we have to reconsider. And you made the motion, I'll second the motion to reinsert the fourth paragraph, single sentence, the employee is entitled to carry forward from one fiscal year to the next, the net balance of unused accumulated leave that does not exceed 45 working days.
Okay,
Okay.
so I have a motion from Alderman Coffindaffer and a second from Alderman Fillinger to reinstate the employee is entitled to carry forward from one fiscal year to the next, the net balance of unused and accumulated leave that does not exceed 45 days. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. That passes unanimously.
Okay,
So-
good.
Oh, so just back to the other, I guess, other parts of the PTO, we can put a disclaimer as except as otherwise stated in this. In the policy, so that would be referred to that
Except as
exception.
otherwise stated in the military leave act.
Yes, there's that,
Or the military.
Okay, under the heading years of service, I move that we insert at the end of that, except as stated in the Military Leave Act.
I'll second that,
Uh,
or is that a motion?
on the years of service, which is the 1, 2, 3, 4th page, paid time off scale. Where we have the unused PTO may not be carried over to the following calendar year. At the end of that, right before bereavement, funeral leave, my motion is to insert except as stated in the Military Leave Act.
You're talking about that first sentence underneath the pay scale.
yes, specifically, Texas Government Code, chapter 437.
We're gonna put it right there.
Okay, so
Well, it says it here too, and just be careful not to read over to the following year.
I don't think it'd be act, wouldn't that be section?
It's,
I'm sure leave section.
so I, prefer government code section 437.202.
Well, I mean, as it's listed later on in here, we call that the military leave.
Well,
a
that's,
section of our-
there's a,
that's
yeah, I'm
military-
referring the next paragraph after the paragraph that was struck and then put back.
Mhm.
It says, described in government code 437.202. That is a statute that provides for that 45 days carryover.
So we refer to that one. Except as stated in government code 473.202.
Yes.
So,
Okay, withdraw my motion. And move to insert. Got to go back over here. And move to insert except as provided in government code 473.202A.
Hold on, you have it as 437 and then you have it at 473.
Yeah, it's 437.
437.
Yeah, because down here, she has it at 4. No, we have to change that one.
473202.
And then look at here,
Yeah, I didn't see the second one, but I see the first one.
at the top it says 473, at the bottom it says 437,
It should be 437.
at the top, okay. So now we gotta change that one.
43720.
Okay. The motion is then at the end of years of service. Insert except as provided in government code section 437.202.
I'll second that motion.
okay, so I have a motion by Alderman Fellinger. And a second by Alderman Coppendeffer to insert after end of years of service. Except as provided in government code 437.202.
Mhm.
Okay, can someone point out what page you're on?
Yeah, for everybody.
Right.
Can you-
Because I don't know
I
how
have
to
page
have it
numbers
all.
when I read.
Yeah, no,
Because I realize policy manual does not have them.
do we have to approve that or can you just add them?
So you can-
Good.
We're going to insert that. Government code section.
Yeah.
And we're
And so
going
where?
to insert it right before bereavement. At the end of years of service.
I don't have a revised draft items section.
Just the page time.
So maybe kind of.
Yeah.
It's here, what?
We're gonna.
Page 5.
Paragraph as provided by.
Go back.
Oh, just the second, sure. Just a, it's
That
not.
way.
And then down at the very bottom, they'll just before the reset.
Okay.
So to be clear, it's just at the end of the years of service, right? So right here, that's where it's gonna drop. I'm just- Okay, so to restate, we have a motion from Alderman Fillinger and a second from Alderman Toppendaffer to insert at the end of years of service, except as provided in Government Code 437.202. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That's unanimously passed. Thank you. So 1, 2, 3 pages down.
Do we need to correct that one that says 473?
That's, yeah, that's what I was gonna bring up. So 3 pages down, it is incorrectly stated as 473.202. We do need a motion to amend that.
I move that we strike 473.202A and replace with 437.202A.
Second.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I have a motion from Alderman Fillinger and a second from Alderwoman Alvarado to strike 473.202A and amend to 437.202A. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That is unanimously passed. Thank you. What looks to be the conclusion of our personnel policy manual. I
The
think,
last page is okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm going to strike that unless they have a day off, right, for this particular year.
oh, yeah. Can we just give them a floating?
Well, it's floating. You mean?
Hmm?
What do you mean by-
Well, I mean, because if we pass this, right, with the Martin Luther King, since they didn't get it off, can we just give them a floating holiday?
Wow.
for next, you know what I mean? So we
Yes,
don't have to
I
strike
would-
it?
I would, you need to make that change, the council needs to make that decision on when the floating holiday would be.
I'd like to make a
Well, they could-
motion that for the Martin Luther King holiday that all of our current employees did not enjoy as a day off for 2022, they may take
Three.
that as a floating holiday during the year of 2022.
23,
23, I'm sorry, we're in 2023. And starting in 2024, the Martin Luther Day holiday will be observed on
the day it's assigned.
the day that it's assigned.
I'll say,
January 6th.
How do I do that works?
That's good.
I second.
Sorry.
That word is possible.
All right, so I have a motion by Alderman Coppendaffer and a second by Alderman Rapino, right?
Yes.
Right,
That way they didn't lose.
to,
I'm concerned about the legality of that, sir.
okay,
The cities are prohibited to retroactively pay. We can't give a retroactive raise.
Mhm.
I don't think legally we can give a retroactive paid holiday.
But we can give a floating holiday, can't we?
yeah, but then we'd still need to strike it then. If that's the
We
case,
we can add an additional one, but we cannot replace a holiday
with a
that
floating.
is passed
For the,
with,
yeah, current.
with,
It
with
was
pay.
Mr. Monday,
Ma'am,
Mr. Monday.
That's not a thing.
It
I
is in
think-
German?
I think we should just make it for 2024.
Yeah, I think we should then just strike the holiday for 2023, and then in 2024, it'll be
Yeah.
added.
So we have a motion with a second and we're waiting on an aye or a nay.
Mhm. So someone needs to.
my only statement is that if you pass and approve that motion, it's an illegal action.
So it
I'll
should be
withdraw my
withdrawn.
motion.
Thank you, sir.
We change it for 2024.
I'd like to make another motion that we will start the observance of Martin Luther
Do we have
King
to do it?
Day in 2024.
I'll second.
That will
Mhm.
start though with this schedule. What this schedule is just, it identifies the specific dates for the 2023 year. So I think the
We
motion would
don't,
be
we
just
don't need
right.
a
Yeah, we don't need
motion,
to.
separate motion if
Yeah.
we approve it.
Right,
just strike the Martin Luther King holiday general.
for 2023.
Yeah, but if it were floating holiday, it would be a specific holiday for the future.
Okay,
That's-
oh,
Or a
gotcha.
specific day for
So
the
then
future.
really the motion should be just to strike
Mhm,
MLK Day for 2023.
mhm.
Did someone recall their motion for?
Terry did,
Yeah.
Terry recalled it with me.
The motion's been
second.
recalled, so
First and second.
it's off the table.
Mhm.
At this point,
We won't-
I would like to make a motion to adopt,
Wait,
uh,
Did we strike
Do we make
Monday,
motion to
January
strike?
2023 from this or no?
Yes,
We have not yet.
We have not.
we haven't,
okay,
It's about to happen.
we haven't moved to,
I move that we strike Martin Luther King Day for 2023.
mhm.
I'll second.
All right, so I have a motion by Alderman Fillinger and a second by Alderman Rapino to strike Martin Luther King Day. The observance of Martin Luther King Day, Monday, January 16, 2023. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on any provision of the revision draft presented?
Yep.
If there's no more discussion, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the presented draft as amended and revision date of January 26, 2023.
The
I'll
revision
second.
draft of the personnel policy manual.
Revision draft
I'll
of
second.
the personnel policy manual, inserting the approved revisions into the existing manual.
Mhm.
I'll second that too.
This one that you're looking at, it also, the past and the blue, it has the 12th of January, it should say this 26th.
Correct.
Revised on January 26th.
Past and approved on 26th day of January. 2023.
Okay. First, we have to approve the
Revision.
revision and then we approve the resolution.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand your motion. Alderman Fillinger made a motion to adopt the draft as amended, the revision draft as amended of the City of Sandy Oaks personnel policy. Would that be a correct summarization?
We have a blank on the page revised on January 26, 2023. So
Mhm. That's correct.
Okay,
Second,
That was the motion to insert that, right?
not yet, right?
No.
We're gonna do it on the resolution, not on the revision. The motion you just did.
we,
First,
my motion is to adopt the revision.
Mhm. So I
Okay.
second it.
And I made a motion to adopt the revision and seconded by Alderwoman Alvarado.
Okay.
okay, so I have a motion by Alderman Fillinger and a second by Alderwoman Alvarado to adopt the revision revised on January 2023 of the City of Sandy Oaks Personnel Policy Manual.
Mhm.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That passes unanimously.
Mhm.
That being said, I move that we adopt resolution number 2023-175
With the
with
revision.
with amended past and approved date of 26th day of January 2023.
Mhm.
Section 2, approval of policy on work week, work schedule and pay. City Council hereby approves its amended policy on work week, work schedule, and pay attached hereto as Exhibit A and incorporates such policy as amended into the city's personnel policy manual effective January 26, 2023.
I'll second.
Okay, so I have a motion by Alderman Fillinger and a second by Alderwoman Alvarado to adopt, right?
Yes,
Adopt resolution number 2023-175 with the amended pass and approved date of the 26th day of January 2023.
and the section 2 approval of policy
And the section,
January 26, 2023.
yeah, and the section 2 approval of policy on work week, work schedule and pay January 26, 2023. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. That passes unanimously. Thank
May I
you.
ask one quick question now?
Yes.
I'll
It
check
was
it out there.
mentioned about the chief's rate of pay. Does that come to the next council meeting? Or does it just?
It just happened.
Assume that
It happened,
Yeah.
man.
it just happened?
Yep.
Okay, I want to make sure that.
Tell Chief, tell him congratulations, you got another pay.
Yeah,
God bless.
that'll go over great. Okay, moving
Yep.
forward to item 9B, discuss under possible action on nomination and appointment of a chair of the Animal Control Advisory Committee. Okay, so as we discussed last meeting, we have some issues with the Animal Advisory Committee and the Animal Shelter Committee. And reading both you're right.
We either postpone this or and move to speaking of it, or we move on as first.
Okay, so yeah, let's just talk to the appointment of a chair of the Animal Control Advisory Committee. Do we have any nominations? Do we have any questions? Do we want to postpone?
I would recommend that we address the issue of the ordinances before we discuss appointing a chair.
Okay. That in here?
10A, 10B.
So the
Yep,
new business, yeah.
yep. So let's postpone, or let's skip
Yeah.
actually down to 9C. Let's just get rid of what we can. Discuss under possible action on quotes received for an automatic gate at the city park. So as we discussed last time, we were talking about an automatic gate. We did pass the ordinance to close the gate at certain hours. And so the question is, do we want to install the automated gate?
I'd make a motion that we accept the bid from Traco not to exceed 13,250 to have the gate installed as a proposal stated.
What's the NTE?
13,250. I raised it up from the 11,950, so that way we still have it covered if the bid had to go up slightly.
And what was your thinking as far as, because that one's higher?
I think the thinking behind the NTE, is that what you're questioning? The reason why the NTE of 13,250 is because I believe it states the bid is only good for 30 days.
7 days.
7 days, excuse me.
And we postponed this.
And we
and I pushed to the postpone.
We postponed it last meeting.
And you're not wanting to use the 10,935 for?
It was because of the quality of what we had learned and
Yeah,
from what we
the
were told by our
customer service.
director.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and state my opposition to installing the gate. Just on the grounds that I don't think it's going to accomplish what is being proposed. That being said, if we must have a gate, I would support the Traco bid over the quality fence and welding.
I will say that I did review the area, and I know there was opposition originally due to the fact that we wanted to expand the gate area. In reviewing the entry point, there would be numerous trees that would need to be removed to widen the road. If you're looking at the gate, we couldn't widen it to the right because we run into private property.
Actually, sir, we don't. That fence is in the right of way.
So they're wrong,
Absolutely.
but we're gonna have them remove it?
No, I'm just saying that,
It's on the agenda.
I'm just saying that that's not a valid
Issue.
reason. Because their fence is encroached on city property. But
That's something else.
I talked about the gate.
the gate,
So that's.
but that's neither
Okay.
here nor there.
Okay, no, that's fair.
And those cedar trees along the left hand side of the road. Would be no great loss to the park. But neither here nor there. We have a motion to adopt the Traco bid or to approve the Traco bid on the table.
Okay. So I do have a motion from Alderman Coffindaffer to accept the Traco bid with an NTE of 13,250. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay. So I have a motion from Alderman Coffindaffer and a second from Alderwoman Martinez to accept the Traco bid of $13,250. All of those in favor say aye.
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 Well, I don't think it will accomplish everything that we think it, that's intended.
Sir, we're in,
I
we're in a vote, sir.
know, but
I
I'm,
know,
we're already past the,
yeah.
You got everyone, but
Yeah, can
Oh, I
I,
just
and
have three.
all those opposed?
Aye. Or nay.
Nay.
so,
So that does pass 3-1. Did I?
I heard
so
three.
now I
Alright.
speak my piece. And I think it won't do everything we think it will do or that is intended, but it might do some good, so that's what I.
I'm gonna go ahead and make the statement that the park was locked when thousands of dollars worth of vandalism took place
I agree.
in the current community center. The gate was locked when the old manufactured home security center was vandalized to complete destruction. The gate was locked when Dead Dog was thrown into the pool. So
but it passed.
that's in the past, but in the future, when the gate's up and the vandalism continues, I get
Then
to
you
say,
can
I told you so.
There you go.
I'm done now.
All right, that passes 4-1. Okay, moving on. Discuss and/or possible action on invoice received from Everbridge from Nixle. And I apologize, so I know this is on here another time. In talking to Nixle, which I voiced my concern with them because I don't see any benefit. In fact, in their little mapping that they tried to demonstrate how convenient it is, they didn't even locate Sandy Oaks. However, we were not in time to tell them that we canceled, that we don't want the service. We have to tell them 30 days in advance. So we are on the hook. However, I've already reached out to Cassandra and let her know to draft up that letter because they will accept it as of right now to cancel for 2024. So I don't think there's any motion that really needs to pass, right? Because I mean,
I think it just renews under the contract.
yeah, just renews under the contract. So you want to go ahead and make that payment?
Okay.
Okay,
So this will be the last year we had.
So who's going to administer Nixle?
I'm trying to, sir.
2024?
oh, 2020 through 2024? Until, yeah, I'm trying, sir. It's, I honestly don't think there's any benefit. We have to go find our own constituents. Nothing's given to us.
And we have posted on every social media and it goes out on every email that I send out and
Yeah.
blah.
And I've even tested myself, and it's an unruly text message that you have to click on a link, which people are afraid to click on links these days. And
That's true.
it doesn't serve any purpose, honestly.
Um,
I'm really disappointed though that we have to make payment.
that, you know,
It'll be their last year with us.
Yes.
That's the upside we can look
in
at.
the greater scheme of things, things happen.
But we'll get that letter submitted and we'll get them moved out of here for next
Thank
year.
you.
Yes, sir.
I guess you would need a vote to end the contract though, or to provide that letter,
Well-
since there was since it does renew automatically, there should be a vote to.
Discuss.
Well, didn't we vote on?
I'd like to make.
Not-
Oh, you did vote on it last time.
Yeah, we
Yes,
have
we
a
did.
letter.
Yeah, we voted
That's what she's doing.
Okay.
not to renew it at our last meeting,
Yes,
so.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, so we don't need that, so I'm not making a motion. Like this good.
Okay, moving on. Discuss and or possible action on completing a boundary survey of property ID 354273, legally described as CB 5764 P-2 ABS 1235 State Code E1, located at Copper Canyon Drive, the property owned by the city of Sandy Oaks and associated costs. So what this is as we were talking to our folks that are providing the road construction, they needed to drop some material. When we went down to the area that we want to drop it, myself, Alderman Fillinger, our Public Works Director, noticed that we have some encroachment issues on our property. And so we see some illegal dumping, we see brush dumping, we see trash. And so what I wanted to do was bring up a couple of bids that I've received, a few bids that I've received that would address this. The reality is that this is a 21 acre tract, so the other acreage would need to be eventually.
Or no, it's not.
Huh?
Where we're looking at, I believe that's a 9 acre tract. The 22 acre tract is from that point to Waterwood Pass.
Right. So in total, this is a 21 acre tract. But the one in review here is the initial 9 acres. So my point was that we would want to get this done so we can clearly mark out our boundaries to eventually put up a property line with a fence.
Sir, before the property owner encroached, there was a fence there.
Okay.
He removed the fence. I think we should also address that, but that has nothing to do with the survey.
That's not the
Moving
action,
right
no.
along.
So yeah, so we should take a boundary survey, so that way we can clearly mark our property lines. And then reach out to the imposing individuals and have them move their property or their fence line to the appropriate place. But so what I've provided was a survey from Surges of Texas, which totals 4,260. However, they are a sub to our city civil engineer. So in speaking with 6S Engineering, there is a 10% markup on this one.
Which ones?
Surges of Texas. It's the one with the little.
Then you gave us this,
So
by itself.
Okay,
that would be a subject to a 10% increase for their management of the contract. I did also receive a quote from Sinclair Land Surveying, which is separate. And their total is 5,425 even. I also received a quote from Elizondo and Associates, totaling 7,036 and 25 cents.
Or 6,500, because we don't pay tax.
Yeah, correct, 6,500 because we do not pay tax. And the oddball here, West Star Land Surveyors. Their cost for the request would be 1,565.
that's scary.
And I did address that with them, and I said, are we comparing apples to oranges here? Because everybody's coming else considerably more, and they reassured me that they are correct in their survey or their amount.
What,
I had my 11 acres survey and I was charged 3,200.
So,
11 acres.
yeah. So I think they're not understanding
Yeah.
or something, but I wouldn't.
Well, they service guys are only 46, 26.
The other ones are.
Yeah,
really
and
high.
Jesse, you know, so add 10%, so 400,
46,
But all
26.
the other ones are super high.
so it's still within reason. It's one of the cheaper ones actually.
Well, that's our city engineer, correct?
Well, Surges is not, but our city engineer would oversee these.
So why would you oppose using the least expensive one when they are bonded and you get a legal survey plat? Why wouldn't we go with the least expensive one? Just because we think they don't know what they're doing? Maybe they're using
That's the
drones.
figure.
Maybe they're using drones.
But we need a pin set,
Uh-huh.
right? So
Right.
can they do that with drones? I mean, I don't
No,
know.
no. They actually have to go out there, but once they do it with drones, they can go out, they know exactly where to go.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why it's simpler for them. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that what you get is legally bound, right? Because they're surveyors.
Yeah, they have to be
Mhm.
bonded and
So I don't think we would get an illegal paper or an illegal survey. So I think we should go with the least expensive one. All the other ones are super high for 9 acres.
Mhm.
And most of them say 2 to 3 weeks time.
Yeah.
They're saying 4 to 6 business days. So maybe, I don't know.
And once we get that survey, we ourselves can remove the fence that's there because it's on our property. We don't have to ask the property owner.
Well, that's the detail that I provided today.
No, this is the one, right?
Actually, the cheapest one is the very end,
It's
which is
$1,500.
$1,565.
Oh, well, hell.
And they got the quickest
Yeah.
turnaround time on completing the job.
All right.
Oh, this at the very end, yes, sir.
What's that?
There's more land to survey too.
Come again?
I said there's plenty more land that needs to be surveyed
Yeah.
Mhm,
So,
for the city.
mhm.
And I sent everyone the same
here.
The same plat.
plat.
Mhm. And they know exactly.
And
where
I
it's at.
told them this is exactly what we need. We need pins to be set so we know where our property lines are.
Well, we
We
got it in writing, so they have to stick to that price.
So, this West Star, is that what
Yes,
it's
sir.
called? So I'll make a motion that we accept the bid from West Star Office
that
to
could be
do the survey for the,
I'll second the motion.
9 acre, property
Okay,
for for $1,700.
NTE of 1,700
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll second that
and
one.
NTE of 1,700. Okay, so I have a motion from Alderman Rapino and a second from Alderman Kalfendaffer to accept the bid for the boundary survey from West Star Land Surveyors with a not to exceed of
Oh.
$1,700.
Hold on just a second. I'm reading the fine print here about payment up front.
Yep.
I've never heard of that. And I know they're saying due to company policy. Is that?
That's their company policy that they have.
It's not
Not only
unusual, it's simply because they come out and set the fence and then I'm not paying.
Yeah.
I mean, I can talk to them and see,
Okay,
maybe
yeah.
can we do a down payment? Just,
If you read the next line, it is negotiable.
Okay, yeah, because I didn't have to pay upfront and like I said,
Yeah, that's places you
Yeah.
don't, you know, some.
And I wanna make sure that because it's so cheap that they're gonna do it.
Yeah, they're gonna actually do it. Right?
You know, 10% or 40%, something.
So we're ready to vote?
Yep, I think, yep. So we have a motion from Alderman Rapino and a second for Alderman Kalfendaffer to accept the invoice or the quote from West Star Land Surveyors with an NTE of 1,700. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. That passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay. Now let's get to the business. All right, discuss under possible action on amending ordinance 2020-157, creating an animal shelter advisory committee and amending ordinance number 2022-206, creating an animal control advisory committee. So in reading the two ordinances, so legally, as Alderman Coffindaffer, as Alderman Billinger said, we are required to have an animal shelter advisory committee. And in reading the two, I believe they serve the same purpose at a high level. They are advising the city council, they're advising animal control, they're advising our city on how to properly act in accordance with Texas law, with ordinances, and so on. So my opinion is that we keep the advisory committee and we move away
Advisory
from
committee, sir.
the animal shelter advisory committee. And we move away from the animal control advisory committee.
Well, I would like to address the fact that, just my opinion, neither of these committees has been in the least effective
Right.
Yep.
since their formation,
I agree.
and no insult intended. I think it was part of the reason was the oversight of the mayor. The previous mayor. The animal shelter advisory committee has never been effective because we have not been able to find a veterinarian who's willing to give up 3 nights a year for our benefit.
Mhm.
I think we need to consider putting it in the ordinance that there would be remuneration involved for the veterinarian to attend those meetings.
We don't pay them now. We're not offering any,
Per the ordinance, there's no remuneration authorized.
no, we definitely should. I mean, I'm sure somebody from,
I was under the impression that they were not willing to commit because of the liability, because they don't know how we handle and how we do procedures. That was my
But
understanding.
that's why we need veterinarians.
They're the ones that set the
They
policy,
set the
yeah.
standard.
yeah.
Our
And I-
original veterinarian was Dr. Hill at Oakville Sound. We did-
Look, we
we
can
did
get
have a
somebody
veterinarian
from,
when it was originally.
And was the veterinarian willing to come to the
I don't know,
meetings
whenever
3
it
times
was
a
me.
year?
They don't have to.
Excuse me,
They don't have to come.
excuse me just a minute.
Yes, sir.
I thought,
Uh,
according to the policy. it said-
They just never had a meeting to come.
No, they don't have to attend meetings, but we have
Physically.
to have a quorum. And, we've never,
I thought there was.
we've never done so.
Yeah, I thought there was hesitation on the veterinarian, not so much that he didn't want to set the standards, but that we would comply, or that he didn't want to oversee or have the liability that we weren't
Let's
gonna.
ask an expert.
Mhm.
I know somebody
Officer
from
Maldonado,
Deacon, we
you
could
the animal
probably get somebody
control
to come
officer?
out here if we paid them.
Yes.
Cause I'd get them to come to my place.
Were we able to
$100.
get Dr. Hill to a meeting?
TJ Walker,
Did you ever schedule the meeting?
another
To
lady,
be held?
or yeah,
The whole
Sure,
shelter
yeah.
committee?
she's amazing.
Hold on,
Excuse us
hold
down
on.
here. You did schedule a meeting. You all had a shelter meeting?
Were they willing to set the standards?
Yeah, yeah, never came. Everybody's too busy.
Okay,
They never even
did
came out.
Dr. Hill come out to do a facility inspection? Okay. Cause there's a couple things here. We have the legal obligation to have a animal shelter facility. And we have the legal obligation to have that facility inspected and approved by a veterinarian. filling out a state form, annually. It happened once.
Yeah.
But I think we should offer remuneration for the veterinarian to come to a council meeting. Yeah, and I think it
In
should
order
be
for us to comply.
a fairly juicy remuneration because I think we need the expertise
I agree.
of a veterinarian involved in shelter decisions.
Well, we need his signature.
I get a vet to come
Well,
up to my place for $150. I don't see why they wouldn't come.
The signature is kind of a separate deal because it is an actual inspection, but he would not answer for policies we develop as a shelter committee, if he's not on that committee.
Right.
And
But we do need a veterinarian. If he never comes to a meeting, we still have to have a veterinarian signed on as a committee member.
And if you put him on a committee and he's part of Sandy Oak City shelter committee, it goes on his CV and it looks good for him. So that's another plus.
So what are we doing with these?
So, Beck's Animal Shelter Committee, I think we need to, with some money to make that
I
work.
agree.
One of the things that the Animal Control Committee is tasked with, unsuccessfully, is to develop an animal control policy. The chief has told me he's working on that for well over a year now, and we still haven't had a policy set forward. As I said, my opinion is neither committee has accomplished anything since their inception.
Not due to anyone's fault, because of participation.
It's very hard to get people to come out for a meeting at night.
It's my understanding this all came about because our animal control chairperson has stepped down. And then it was brought up that Alderman Fellinger and myself were both nominated for the position. And then Alderman Fellinger brought up the concept that there is a, what was it that you called it again? Conflict of interest between the two, between these two creations.
Not
I went through,
necessarily.
I'm sorry, it's my turn. I went through and I've read every line of both of these over the last 2 weeks since we've all been asked to study. My conclusion is very simple. The non-mandated Animal Control Advisory Committee has the exact same job except for one verbiage, animal shelter. The Animal Shelter Advisory Committee is doing the exact same thing as the Animal Control Advisory Committee. Both of them are doing the same jobs. Except one is going to be tasked with also looking at the animal shelter. So what it's coming down to is these two advisory committees can actually go head to head, except for one's going to talk about the animal shelter, but they both talk about everything. That's called too much politics. One of these have to go and create this into just one simple advisory committee. And before we try to figure out who's going to take over what, yes, I do have the Animal Shelter Advisory Committee that has been absolutely no interest whatsoever. But to combine the two permanently.
But I disagree with they do the same thing.
Show me how, when, and I'll get to that. When, in one of them, we have an outline of all the duties and
Sir, if
responsibilities.
you've asked me to show you, would
I
you
said,
let me
when
reply?
I had not finished my statement, sir. When one of them outlines all their duties and responsibilities across 5 different paragraphs. And the one that's mandated by the state of Texas in one paragraph on section 2 says the exact same thing in one paragraph as what was tore apart and separated across 5 different paragraphs. So that's how I'd like to have you show me what the difference is, please.
Let's break it down sentence by sentence. Purpose of the Animal Shelter Advisory Committee. And I'm not saying that there has to be 2 committees. I'm saying that the entire thing needs to be rewritten.
Then we're in agreement, sir.
Purpose of the Animal Shelter Control Advisory Committee shall be to assist the city of Sandy Oaks animal shelters in complying with the requirements of chapter 823. That is one purpose. The committee will review and recommend procedures for care and maintenance of animal shelter facility and impounded animals to ensure compliance with state law. That's the purpose. And periodically reviews the city's animal control ordinances and make recommendations for revisions thereof related to the care and maintenance of animal shelters, facilities, and impounded animals.
That would also be paragraph C on the other ordinance, sir.
Paragraph C.
Make recommendations.
Okay. Well, let's start with section 2, duties, general duties of the committee. Advise city council on establishment, planning, and development of an animal control program. I don't see that addressed over here. Okay.
So add it to it.
Yeah.
I would.
Well, no, I'm just saying
Yeah.
that the statement that these 2 are exactly the same duties is not the same.
So,
It's not true. We need to merge the section 2 of the Animal Control Advisory Committee with the section 2 of the Animal Shelter
Agreed.
Advisory.
Once again, we're in agreement, sir.
so why don't we do this? Why don't we postpone one more meeting? So I can work with our city attorney to make a merged document that would then abolish the ordinance for the Animal Control Advisory Committee, which would then leave only the Animal Shelter Advisory Committee.
Amen.
Okay.
And then we can amend the sections.
And encompassing the duties of the animal control.
Into the
Yeah.
Animal
So it
Shelter
really would
Advisory.
just be the second reading of the ordinance, or would it be the first reading coming back? I guess, how do you want to structure that?
Right.
This would be the second reading, the next meeting
We,
of a combined.
Combined ordinance. Yeah.
so we're going to amend ordinance 2021-57. We're going to amend that and repeal and abolish 2022-206 as the purpose of the amendment.
That's what we're wanting to accomplish, yes, sir.
Okay. Then I make a motion that we task the city attorney with amending ordinance 2020-157, repealing ordinance 2022-202, and merge the purpose and general duties into one document.
I'll second.
Oh, all right. All right, so I have a motion from Alderman Coffindaffer, or excuse me, and Alderman Fillinger,
Phil Young, sir.
Yeah, man.
to amend 2020-157, while also repealing 2022-206 to merge and repurpose into one general document. That sound fair? Do I have a second?
I do.
Okay. So I have a second from Alderman Pepino. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That passes unanimously.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, before we move to the next item, I would like to address Alderman Coffin Stafford's comment. Yes, when they confuse you and I do feel younger, and I hope you feel better looking. It helps.
Well, there's that.
Touche,
And so
but we have to do the beat, no, we're gonna not.
Well, I think something on the record that it was.
Yeah.
yeah, so we'll go ahead and postpone item 9B until the next meeting.
Yeah.
Wants to make a motion.
Okay, I'll take a
No,
motion
we're not doing
to.
that yet.
So
We have
with
other
that, I
business.
would recommend that we readdress item 9B. And I'd like to nominate Alderman Coffindaffer to chair the excuse me,
Not yet.
to continue his service as the chairman of the Animal Control Facility Committee.
Is that part of that?
I thought he wasn't.
9-8?
Agenda item.
That's not.
That's not on there, sir.
Well, then let's adjourn.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
It is now 8:32. Can I get a motion? to
I'll make a
adjourn?
motion to adjourn now.
I have a motion from
Second.
Alderman Coffindaffer and a second from Alderman Rapino to adjourn at 8:32 PM. Thank you.
Right.
You didn't get a vote.
Oh, can I get a vote?
Aye.
I thought I heard.
Don't need to vote, sir.